Sometimes you just get off to a bad start when you get out of the bed in the morning, or you get off to a season. This is rare for the Kansas City Chiefs. How do they turn around and get over that hump today? I'm Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now go make another Locked On show your next listen. We're brought to you by Mazda. And like them, we sweat every detail, because when you're making every move, you want it to count. Pulling that unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights from this week's Moving the Game Forward from Mazda. Move and be moved. We're going to keep moving because we have a lot. Matt Derrick's here from ChiefsDigest.com, as well as Chiefs Digest on YouTube. And 41 is the mic, and a plethora of other places around the country that you can get Matt Derrick in writing. But here you get to hear his voice. That's a big plus. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, NFL 33 and RGR Football. And this is Chris Clark, the man with the cap, not literally on his head, but the cap space research as well at KC Chiefs Corner. We appreciate you joining us. If you want that much more, get on the text line at 816-357-8781. Yes, this has been a bad start. Yes, there are people still losing their minds. I've come off of that cliff, Matt. I didn't even need you to talk me down this time. I walked off all on my own, but I'm off of it. The big thing here is, like, they're so close to actually putting good things together against good teams. How do they get over the hump against a team that I am not quite as scared of as I have been the last 2 weeks? That's coming first. What they need to build on, what was the takeaway that can be foundational going forward, and where do they got to get creative? Those are both coming up. But we start, Matt, on what is, I think, in some ways just a lack of urgency, certainly from the first game, did get taken care of. I saw progression there. And then it was a lack of execution that I felt really just kind of let them down in certain spots, not all day long. Upon rewatch, I felt better about it, but it's just two different ways they found to lose these games. How do they get over that initial that the first quarter of the season seems to be taking on more and more as the years go on?
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned trying to get, you don't need to be talked off the ledge this week. So I won't try and throw out week one. I still think week one's an outlier. It's an international game. Let's not draw too many conclusions from that. So we've got one game to draw from. But even that one game's got some similarities to week one. But let's face it, it's what this team talks about a lot, what they talked about last year, what hurt them in the Super Bowl, hurt them in week one, hurt them in week two. What is it? It's getting off to a fast start on offense. And I don't think that mojo, energy, emotion, I don't think that was the problem this week. What was the problem this week? I think that the one characteristic has been between these three last losses, going back to last year in the Super Bowl, it's getting off to a quick start, but getting off to a well-scripted, well-executed quick start. Because right now, we're seeing a lot of similarities to the Chiefs in their first 15 and 20 plays, where they are usually so crisp, and that's the Andy Reid specialty of being able to come out and just establish things quickly. They're not doing that. And, and so much of it feels like that, one, they're just being predictable. Everybody in the world I had on social media last week telling me that they'd be fine as long as the Chiefs didn't start the game with a run play up the middle. And that was exactly what they got. So when you got Twitter experts, no offense, all you Twitter experts out there, but when the Twitter experts are telling you what you're going to run on the first play of the game, you got a problem. And that's the thing. I mean, the Chiefs get in some of these ruts sometimes with their script. It gets a little stale or predictable. And that's the one thing you don't want in your script. You want your script to be something that's going to take things. It's going to put teams on edge. It's going to put them on their heels. It might be a little bit about testing them out and trying to find some weak spots. But by and large, what you're trying to do is just gain and start momentum, doing a bunch of stuff that you're good at that the other team's not, and knocking them off the ball and putting them on their heels, because once you get them on defense, then everything else is supposed to flow from there. And this team just has not been doing that in a while.
I'm glad you said what you said, Matt, because you said specifically execution. And that is exactly what the first couple of plays of the past couple of games have not done. Go back to week one. The execution between Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce cost Worthy to miss a game, and maybe more, because they weren't running at the right depths. Now you go back and you watch last week, and you have the Noah Gray pass where it's an intermediate route that Mahomes has thrown 500 times, and he misses it. It's execution. The play was there. the design was there. It would have gotten the offense going in the right direction and probably kickstart the offense, but it was a misplay because the pass wasn't where it needed to be. And that's not something that is on Andy Reid. It's something that's on the players, and it's not just Patrick Mahomes, obviously, and he's done plenty to where you shouldn't put the blame on him, generally speaking, but it's all the players executing. And when you start talking about the running game specifically and knowing that that's coming, you have to execute and you have to be able to block. And that hasn't happened at times as well either. And that's caused some problems. So it's an execution issue. Yes, the plays have not been great, but when you miss things that you normally hit, like that crossing route with Travis Kelce or, the Xavier Worthy thing that they probably hit 15 times in practice, that's the kind of thing that you're going to get. You're going to get the offense not looking great. How do they get past where they are right now? How do they get to a point where they have something that is going to be different than what they've done, and you get to a point where you feel like going up against the New York Giants, this is a team that is going to take control of things going forward, because you have to get Kelce involved. You have to get Hollywood Brown involved early, but you have to get Patrick Mahomes comfortable and going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think there's some micro solutions and macro solutions, and one big picture. I mean, I think you got to look at this offense's usage and what they're doing right now, because one, there's no rotation whatsoever. I mean, this team is basically has 3 wide receivers that they're playing at all times. Nico Remigio had 2 offensive snaps, and one of them was a 21-yard catch. So why you're not using Nico Remigio and Jason Brownlee a bit more? I mean, even if just because at some point, I don't care what you think of Nico Remigio. I don't care what you think of Jason Brownlee. Nico Remigio clearly on his second snap of the game is going to have fresher legs, fresher hands, everything than somebody else on their 45th snap of the game. So there are some things that I think you just have to take a look at and be like, what's going on here? 2, once again, I mean, this gets into the usage standpoints. I mean, the Chiefs are so predictable right now as far as their personnel. I mean, like I said, you've got the 3 receivers. Travis Kelce's out there. Occasionally they're in 12 personnel with Noah Gray, and that's it. I mean, there's not a whole lot going on. You don't have – I mean, I spent an entire 6 weeks watching Robert Tonyan tear this defense apart. And this defense just shut down the Philadelphia Eagles offense. I mean, there's ways I could paint this game without the Chiefs offense giving the Eagles some short fields that this defense would have just absolutely annihilated. And you look at the numbers and you certainly say, I mean, this team annihilated Jalen Hurts. Best thing that happened was Saquon Barkley, and you take out one play, 13-yard touchdown run that was just a bad play for the defense. I mean, if this was Olympic judging, and you just threw out the best play and the worst play of the Chiefs defense, they're giving up maybe 16 points to the Eagles. And like I said, it could have been a whole lot less, and they could have won this game. But if what Robert Tonyan's doing on this roster, if he's not going to play, fascinates me, because like I said, I saw 6 months where he carved up this defense. Are you telling me he can't do anything for this offense? Nico Remigio, Jason Brownlee, they're on this team for a reason. You got to some point start utilizing some guys. Brashard Smith, same conversation. This backfield right now has 0 speed, and you've got to get a jump start somewhere. The fastest guy on this team right now with Tyreek Hill hurt might be Brashard Smith. I mean, Tyquan Thornton's fast too, so I'm not gonna take it back him. But the fastest guy in this backfield by far is Brashard Smith. So from a macro standpoint, I just don't understand the fact why there's no rotation, why there's no usage, especially when you've got Travis Kelce who's looking tired, and why you're not getting Robert Tonyan some snaps in there for him to relieve him, to give him some rest, because that drop by Travis Kelce to me was a fatigue drop. That's just, I still look at it all the way. That was a tired guy out there. And then you get into the micro parts of it. And that's where you get, Chris, into the execution. I think you see that. You see, hey, the offensive line guys aren't always necessarily exactly where they're supposed to be. The timing's off a little bit. Running backs are running into the back of their offensive linemen rather than hitting their holes. That's a problem. I mean, yeah, there's execution in every level. And at some point, that's separate than play calling. That's coaching. And that's, making sure that you're doing things right during the week. And that's telling me right now that there's a coaching issue too.
Yeah, to be really to be clear, really quick, Matt's not breaking news. It's not Tyreek Hill. He meant Xavier Worthy.
Sorry if I said that. Sorry, it was a
when
brain
we get
cramp.
back, we're going to talk about what the Chiefs can build on going into next week. Right after this.
This episode is brought to you by Mazda, moving the game forward. Though for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. And there are some moments where you can put up points on the board, move crowds, move culture, and keep the game moving forward. And this week's moment that moved the game forward was a string of them. One that gave me a bit of a heart attack, but it is Joshua Simmons being able to step in his second ball game and be the player that we saw on film. My number one tackle from this last past draft is living up to it right now. Let's try not to get sidelined for any reasons because it makes game day tough for me. But Joshua Simmons is helping this team come together. And as they gel, he will be a large part of how they move forward and move this game forward. When you follow what moves you, unexpected is the beginning. It's just like every move to every highlight. And there's more than just like a Mazda vehicle. In fact, Mazda, move and be moved. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering for your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets is a hassle. Between queues, login screens, prices jumping at checkout, it's really frustrating, and that's why I use Game Time. The app that gives you the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered every time at the best price, plus all the fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pull up Game Time anytime to get a couple of taps. I get amazing deals. I get to see where my seat is. I get to see my favorite NFL games for as low as $100. You can too. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, that's promo code LOCKEDONFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. There's a lot that gets you there. Go check out ChiefsDigest.com for Matt's written work as well as all of ours. Matt, when you look at what you can build on, for me, one thing's very clear. Though it did slow down a little bit this week, one thing that I think Patrick Mahomes in this offense has been doing better is getting the ball out. And even though we're seeing more shots downfield, I think 17% of them were targeted 20 yards plus in this last ball game. One of the stats that stands out to me the most. Yet the ball's still coming out quicker than it did last season at this point. I think for me, that's something that you got to double down on. It does put pressure on the execution, but I think that tempo is something that will help them in the long run.
Yeah. And, it's almost a little bit, if, like I said, if you go back and you bring the Super Bowl back into this kind of an equation, and in the second half of the Super Bowl, especially late, there was, you're going up against a lot of prevent defense and you're going up against a lot of backups, but still, when Patrick Mahomes has looked his best in the last 3 games, it's been one of two things have been going on. One, he's just been putting the ball in his own hands and taking off and doing whatever it requires, which is why he is the leading rusher on this team. But the other part of it too is that when he has been his best has been when he has just been letting it rip. And there may be just a little bit of let Patrick be Patrick that needs to go on here. As far as, just calling some things early that allows him to, push the ball deep, not necessarily 50-yard shots downfield, but even 20-yard shots downfield, because, that's something that, you're looking at his completions, once again, look at the completions charts for the first 3 quarters of that game, and it looked like a lot like last year when, it was like pretty much the only thing that Mahomes had available to him, both from the blocking standpoint and from the play calling standpoint, and the receivers getting open and separation standpoint, was anything within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage or behind it. That's ridiculous to be thinking about when Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback. He's getting more time to throw. Is it to where you want it to be? No, but I think there was a progression for this offensive line from week 1 to week 2. And certainly of the last 3 games, including going back to the Super Bowl, this last game was the best performance of this offensive line. Kingsley was better in this game. Josh Simmons, there were moments of, and maybe even moments still where Mahomes just feels it. And one example, on that first throw with like 4.5 minutes left to Taekwon that they missed connections on, and Taekwon was just absolutely wide open downfield and overthrows him like 20 yards. Well, I think a big reason for that obviously was just that, Mahomes was not completely convinced that he could get through with the throw mechanically, that he couldn't follow through on it. So he basically threw it off his plant foot and just let it sail. In his body, I mean, if you go back and you look at that throw and the mechanics of that throw from the moment it was leaving his hand, I mean, he was just contorting his body because he didn't know where Josh Simmons was and where his defender was and thought he was going to get hit. I mean, if anything, if he'd followed through normally, he probably would have been in better shape than he would have been just standing on his left leg. I mean, I was scared to death after, watching that replay. It's like, it's a miracle he didn't break his leg on that play if somebody just ran into him. But then later on, when he got into who cares mode, I mean, just went ahead and chucked it and put it on a dime. I mean, he put it exactly where he wanted to. And even in between there, that after that first miss to Taekwon, his next throw was the Taekwon on the sideline. And that was a tight window, a hard throw, put it on a dime. So it's not, I mean, when Mahomes is misfiring, it doesn't necessarily look like it's necessarily a mechanical issue or anything of that. It's still a protection issue. And sometimes it might just be he's seeing things that aren't their issue. But when he is following through, when he's throwing the ball on schedule, when he's doing all of these things right, I mean, there's going to be big plays there. And and it's going to get better once he gets Rasheed back, once he gets Xavier back. I get it's tougher right now, maybe with Hollywood and Juju. Because even though you've got chemistry with those guys, it's not maybe quite the same that you got with the other two who have been there a little bit longer and more consistently. So I want to see what happens if the Chiefs just flat out just go out and say, okay, let Patrick be Patrick in this game.
And what I also love about what you said is it's exactly what it looked like to me. He has to trust his offensive line. Yeah, he had good protection for the most part. There were just some times it broke down. But Ryan and I talked about this on yesterday's show. They were going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, who have a very, very good pass rush. This was a step in the right direction for this offensive line, and it's a step in the right direction for him to gain the trust in his offensive line. So I love that, and I do think it's something that this team can build on, because when he gets to a point where he trusts his offensive line and he knows that he can trust that they're going to block for him well, it's going to be a lot of fun because he's already pushing the ball downfield. He's just not hitting the shots that you want him to hit. So I do think that that's going to be something they can build on. And the other thing that when you look at this offense, the thing that I do think they need to add to the passing game that they haven't really used, where's the screen game? Where's the Andy Reid fun part of the passing game that we haven't seen so far in 2 weeks? Like you talked about the last time you were on last week, where was everything that you saw in training camp that they were doing that was different than they were doing the year before? Still haven't seen any of that. How are they going to build on that? How are they going to implement that in the offense going forward? Because I will say this, I feel comfortable about this next game coming up against the Giants, but it's not really a game that you would look at and say, oh, well, this is where we're going to bring everything out.
Yeah. And, and I'm thinking about the things that we saw in training camp that were different that we didn't see last year, that were kind of new additions that we just haven't seen implemented into this offense yet. And honestly, I mean, the three biggest players involved in that are obviously Rasheed, Xavier, and Brashard Smith. Yep. Why Brashard Smith is in a witness relocation program right now, I can't really explain. I mean, the conventional wisdom will say, and I've heard this answer around the team, is that, hey, he's still learning. There's parts that he still needs to pick up. And I get that. But at some point, I mean, not to echo the words of a former Chiefs coach, but at some point you just got to take off the diapers and let him go be his guy, take off the training wheels. And I think the kid's ready for it. So I'm interested in seeing more Brashard Smith, because I think that speed on the field is going to make a difference. But again, there's a lot of things that we saw that the Chiefs had elements of in training camp, whether it's, just having Xavier being a part of the jet sweep game, putting him in motion to, put stress on defenses. There's a lot of things. And obviously Rashee Rice is going to put a whole different stress on a defense. So I get it. They just don't have the players right now to do some of the things that they want to. I think there's also a problem is that they're running some of the stuff that they would run anyway, but they just don't have the right. They're running the square peg offense, and they got round pegs to put in it. But you point out one thing, Chris, and I'll even expand on, which is that, hey, where's the screen game? I'm like, where's the outside zone? These are a couple of concepts that the Chiefs just absolutely were their bread and butter for so long. But we don't see a lot of them right now, even though the Chiefs tell us and will tell you that this is their most athletic offensive line that they've had in years. So why aren't they taking advantage of that athleticism? Why aren't they getting them outside? Why aren't they getting their offensive line downfield and helping to create plays? Well, I mean, again, it's probably circling back to coaching, because if they're not putting those plays in, then they're saying that they're not ready, that they just don't have the execution. And if this group can't run screens, and if this group can't run outside zone runs, then you're telling me there's something wrong with the coaching, because there's no reason why they can't run that stuff.
There shouldn't be. And I have a few other ideas that they should be doing. The good presents are at the bottom of the bag. I don't think we're going to see them. So what else can we put on the drawing board? That's next. The NFL season is on us, and FanDuel is making sure that you're getting ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it's all in one place, and the app is super simple to get after. Whether I want to do something ahead of time, put together a parlay, or whatever I'm looking for, jumping in live is even an option. It makes life one-stop shopping to get into the action. So if you're ready and you are ready to play, get in there, download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. And that's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet to get that 300 bonus bets. Check it out at FanDuel.com. Drawing board's always fun for me. I like X's and O's. You can see more of that over at Chiefs Digest, at KC Chiefs Corner, and NFL 33, all the good spots for your written content. Thanks you for being here. Make sure you subscribe as well, Matt. We'll go rapid fire here because this is a little bit more theory at this point, looking ahead to the Giants a little bit. I will tell you this. I do want to see them use Leo Chanel a little bit more in a mug situation. I know a lot of folks want to see him as a pass rusher, but right now in particular, they're going to put Jackson Dart on that field, the Giants are, and they're going to threaten to RPO him and run him. So put Leo in his face and scare him to death. That's what I'm looking for. What would you like to see them do?
I mean, I'll tell you one thing. I want to see Trent McDuffie close to the line of scrimmage in this game, because I love Trent McDuffie. There's so many things that he does well. Defending the deep ball is not one of them. And him going up against Malik Neighbors downfield on some deep balls from Russell Wilson, it's scary. I mean, I would rather see some big guys. I want to, you're going to have some double teams. You're going to need safety self over the help. Let Trent just handle the stuff and maybe underneath zone, and maybe have some of the other guys take the stuff deep, because I like I said, love Trent McDuffie, but that's his weak point, and he can give up some big passes at times in deep coverage.
My big one that I want to see is I actually want to see them use a guy like Jason Brownlee and use him for what he is good at. Use a guy like Nico Remigio, because he showed you he has the ability to do things last week with that 21-yard reception. But Brownlee specifically on the Travis Kelce interception, I expected that was going to be, I called it watching the game thinking it was going to be a red zone fade, and it wasn't. Put him out there to do other things. Have Mahomes try to push him the ball and do some back shoulder stuff, because that's only going to help throughout the season if they're going to, one, leave him on the team, but two, use it with other wide receivers like he did with Rashee Rice.
I like the concept. I'm going to go a little bit old school too. I know you guys are really shocked by that, but if Andy can pull out, 1918 plays, how about a little old, like without the crackback toss sweep? How about like actually getting your guys in space with velocity going the direction that they want to go? Don't wheel anybody into the backfield anymore. Spread them out. I think right now, I know Andy wants to hoard all the tricks, Matt, and I get that. All the good presents are at the bottom. Okay. But you can do some other things that make the defense think. And I think that's the key to buying Patrick some time and buying a little bit more breathing room all around the line of scrimmage out to like the 8-yard line by doing some of these things. What would you think?
Yeah, I'd love to. And once again, I mean, you talk about a toss sweep, Brashard Smith. I could love to see that. And the Chiefs did some things. I mean, Jason Brownlee went out for a snap on Sunday, and I thought, hey, we're actually going to get to see some Jason Brownlee here. I thought there was a possibility that maybe just ran out there on accident, and but and then there was a penalty, and they brought him off the field. I was, dang it. And I saw Isaiah Pacheco lined out wide at one point, and I'm like, why is that not Brashard Smith? Why is it Isaiah Pacheco? Yeah, I would love to see some more speed on the outside and the edges. I mean, especially when you're missing Worthy. I mean, Tyquan Thornton could use a partner on the outside. Hollywood's not necessarily the guy right now. Brashard could be, though, because you know what? You throw the ball to Brashard Smith deep, he might actually catch the ball.
Well, and that's something I actually really love, the thought process of using Brashard Smith as a wide receiver. If you're only going to have 3 guys you're going to put on the field, use him as your 4th. Put him out there, give him a chance to go play that wide receiver position, something he did in college, and I'm sure he practiced at least a little bit or enough of in training camp and in OTAs to be able to give you a couple of plays. Exactly. See, I knew that he did. I just wasn't about to put a percentage on it, how much he was out there, but I knew he did. Use it. Use that to your advantage. You're short on wide receivers, and you're short having people that you think can produce. Use that to your advantage. Use his speed. Bring him out of the backfield. I could care less if they go, and I know Ryan will probably hate this. I could care less. I'd love to see him go 5 wide at times. Put your 3 wide receivers out there. Go have Brashard Smith in the backfield and motion out, and have Travis Kelce out there too. Go 5 wide. Do different things. Attack the defense and really try to take it to him, because I think that this offensive line is good enough to give Patrick the time to be able to take advantage of it.
I think that's all true in a year where normally it's about saving it for the end. Andy, you're 0-2. There's no saving for the end now. Got to get this right. Let's get after it. Matt, thanks for setting us straight and keeping us honest. We appreciate you being here.
Always a blast, guys. Take care of people, my friends.
I'm going to get the last word edgewise, because when I close the show, that's what I get to do. More Carson Steele as well. Thank you guys for joining us. We would really like to see you, and we appreciate you being with us the whole way. Have a great one, and we'll have the crossover tomorrow and the preview on Friday. We'll talk to you then.